Calm the fuck down. I gotta get a pump.
Yeah, take a moment. That's it. That's good. Listen, Danny, I know what it's like to think you killed somebody. And it hurts. I mean, you got Jesus and the devil swirling. That's it, get it. Jesus, devil swirling all up in your head. I was lucky because my guy lived. So you must really feel like shit.
The gentlemen discuss Guardians of the Galaxy on episode 23 of the CutPrintFilm podcast. Here are your hosts, Jeff, Dave, and Chris.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 23 of the CutPrintFilm podcast. My name, it's Chris.
I'm Jeff Rollins, the only man with a last name.
I'm Dave Costal.
Oh, I was mistaken.
Last week, I specifically said my last name because I thought we're all going to do it, and then one of you did not say your last name, and so we blew it.
This is me.
Thanks, Dave.
Did you say this is episode 23?
This is episode 23.
Like that Jim Carrey movie?
Exactly
episode
like
23?
that Jim Carrey. That's why we're not wearing shirts.
Is this the episode 23?
It is.
What Jim Carrey movie is called episode 23?
The number 23, I think he's referencing.
Oh, that real movie, not episode 23, which does not
This
exist.
joke has just disassembled itself.
I keep finding the number 23 everywhere. It's 6 plus 4 equals 23.
I'll tell you where you won't find it. You will not find it on my DVD shelf.
But you will find it on my VHS shelf.
Or the compost heap.
It's like that E.T. Fucking
Yes.
landfill. There's just number
Atari.
23s.
It's the whole bunch of boxes.
So yeah, we're a film podcast. We talk about movies.
Which
like,
you probably guessed by now because we were talking about the number 23.
we could just go on and on about it.
I know.
Yeah. Movies.
That's right. Movies indeed.
What's up, everybody out there?
How are you doing, Mr. and Mrs. Internet?
I hope you guys are doing something productive while listening to this.
Like, hopefully, maybe giving us a great review on iTunes.
Holy crap.
A 5-star review would be just fantastic.
It would boost our egos.
Yeah, let's face it, you probably aren't doing anything productive, so you can take a couple seconds and give it a review.
Take a few days out of your not doing work at your job to post a
few days.
A few days. It's going to take you a few days to punch out the first few drafts
of
of
a
your
commitment.
review. Yeah. We'll turn in a first initial draft of your review for us, and then punch it up over the next few days.
All right, well,
Let's get down to it.
has anybody seen any good movies this week?
No.
Wrap it up.
Good night, everyone. So yeah, this week we're talking about
Sorry.
we're talking about how Dave sucks the energy out of the room.
Guardians of the Galaxy came out this week
It
sure
certainly
did.
did.
to rave reviews.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a single person on planet Earth that didn't like it.
No.
Besides Armand White, probably.
Yeah, I have yet to read his take on this
Yeah.
this film, but yeah, I think it made something like $93 million.
Yeah, not close to 95 million.
That is insane.
And it was a huge opening. And,
No, biggest August opening ever, right?
right, and people were not expecting
Ever
it
of
to,
all time?
Ever.
Oh, yeah, people were expecting it to do like I think 70 million.
Yeah, well, you could tell that Marvel was a little nervous about it putting it in August.
Yeah, but
And
they're already confident because the sequel is already set for a July date.
the sequel was cemented before the film opened wide.
Yeah, so it's,
Yeah, I wonder at what point they decided, all right, we're going to make a sequel, because the end of the movie says the Guardians of the Galaxy will be back.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Oh.
that's something you could just throw in there and post, though.
oh, as always, we will be mentioning spoilers for this film but,
Heavily,
But
yes.
you probably have seen it by now because everyone went
Yeah.
to see it.
That wasn't really a spoiler. I
No,
don't
I'm
think
just
you were
I'm
assuming
getting it
that
out of the way. 'cause
all of the Guardians die
Yeah,
horribly.
here's a spoiler. The galaxy was guarded this time around. They're coming back for more guarding.
yes,
Or gardening. We don't know. Anything could happen.
I wish we could see those real Transformers numbers, because I want to know if...
I don't want to see anything Transformers related.
yeah.
Well, because they were saying that Transformers made $100 million in its first weekend, but then something came out after that Paramount was just
That's right.
lying.
Yeah.
And it didn't actually. It made like less than that.
Which I love that they can just do that. Like, I made this much money, and everyone's
Okay.
like, everyone takes their word for it. Like, all right, I guess so.
$94 million, though. That's huge.
Yeah.
Did,
Obnoxiously enormous.
I'm trying to remember. Captain America's what, like 70-something?
I don't remember.
Yeah. So that's their Marvel's biggest opening this year.
I will say this, in line with Chris's review, of Guardians of the Galaxy on CutPrintFilm.com, I agree that this is the best movie of the summer.
Absolutely.
Hands down.
Yeah. And anyway, I mean, I liked Planet of the Apes. I liked Edge of Tomorrow, but I really think this blew those two movies away.
Yeah, your review is really good for this movie. I don't want to jerk you off.
No, please do, please.
But
here, put this in your hand.
Did you coin the term new classic?
I did not know. I'm sure someone else has used that before me, but
it fits this perfectly.
What was the term?
New classic.
Oh, okay.
I've heard modern classic, but using the term new is different than modern classic,
right.
Because like something about it felt. I was trying to think the last time I felt this way in a movie theater, and I had to go back to Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
And so these are once in a decade films that you're getting
At best, if you're lucky.
Right.
And before Jurassic Park, I don't have a memory of it. I mean, Back to the Future, E.T.
Yeah, but you didn't see those in theater.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's like, this is amazing.
I would liken this film to Star Wars.
Right, absolutely.
Even though I wasn't even born when Star Wars came out. But I feel like this has that kind of... it's a universe that feels old already. Like, everything... That new classic term that you were just talking about, that is so apt for this universe that this film takes place in, because everything, even though it's space-age stuff, like spaceships and all this crazy technology, it feels like it's thousands of years old. Like, everybody's just used to this.
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't look... Nothing looks clean. Everything looks lived in and messy and
I like
it would.
Yeah. And I like the in media res approach to it, where they don't spend a lot of time world building.
Right,
they're just thrown into it.
That's like the best way to approach it.
It's like a roulette wheel. We are the ball, and we're just dropped right in, and here we go.
There's nothing worse than this excessive exposition in a movie, and this movie doesn't need that.
There's an information dump at the beginning.
A little bit.
Where it's just like a lot of telling you this planet is here.
Right. Yeah.
And there's this peace treaty that's been signed, but it's kind of like a flimsy peace treaty at best.
Right. No, yeah.
And there's a lot of location setting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it tells you, literally text comes on the screen telling you what planet this is.
Yeah.
That type of stuff. And for a little bit I was like, oh man, is this going to be the whole film? Like, this seems...
It was jumping around. It was doing the Godzilla thing, where it was jumping locations.
Yeah, and I was getting
much.
a little confused. Yeah. But then, once we get to know the characters, and once the story gets in motion, like the plot of the film gets in motion, because the story's already going before we even come into the theater. There's been wars.
But then it focuses on this group of people.
Once that momentum starts getting going, it doesn't matter about the info dump at the beginning.
No, it doesn't.
You're just along for the ride, and it's really, really an enjoyable experience.
I mean, yeah. Besides Star Wars, the one movie I would compare this to is Ghostbusters, and not in its plot, obviously, but this is the first movie I can honestly think of that has that sort of effortless tone to it. Like, Ghostbusters is not a perfect movie, but it seems like it's a perfect movie because there's just this sort of natural progression in that movie, and that's sort of the same thing where that movie has this whole established setup rules for ghosts and trapping ghosts and catching ghosts, and the movie Ghostbusters doesn't take any time to explain how its science works. It's just there.
It just does.
But the thing about Ghostbusters is it's like there's these guys who are funny and just happen to be guys who catch ghosts.
Exactly, and that's kind of how that's what this movie is like. Like, it doesn't really matter that the movie is set in space. Honestly, it's just these characters and following these characters. And this movie is just sort of, I don't know. James Gunn did something really remarkable with this movie. It just feels effortless, and it's obviously not. No movie like this can be effortless, but just the way he structured the film and the way he wrote these characters, it feels natural. It doesn't feel like I don't know. It's just, it took me off. Like, I was expecting to enjoy this movie, but I was not expecting it to love it as much as I did.
What I think makes this film work as good as it does is that the story doesn't even matter.
It doesn't.
It could be any story.
Yeah.
And this story has been done before, and it'll be done again. But the characters are so well-rounded and phenomenal together.
Yeah.
Like, interweaved with one another, that it's just a joy
right.
when they finally become a team
yeah.
and start having adventures.
Like, I think a perfect way to compare this to a movie that has something similar and doesn't work is you look at the Peter Jackson Hobbit films, not Lord of the Rings, but the Hobbit films.
Could we not?
Those movies, they're about a team. But I want you to try and you guys at home, try and think of one fucking great character amongst those hobbits, like who has a defining characteristic, like. Oh, and I guarantee everyone the first thing they think of is the fat hobbit, the really fat one who is.
I don't know a single one of them,
and it's like
agree.
that's such a shitty way of doing. Like these characters, none of them are interesting. They're fucking. There's the fat hobbit, and then there's the handsome hobbit. Like that's it. Or not hobbit, they're dwarves. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's how boring that movies are. I can't even remember what the hell they are.
They really are just a.
And then this movie, every one of these characters in the team of every one of the Guardians of the Galaxy, they're so essential to the film. And they all have their own unique sort of things that just makes them.
Aside from the way they look, like
Right.
yes, they all have their own aesthetic, which is unique to them, but just not, and their personalities are unique to them, but their roles in the team is essential, and that makes them
they're real
a character worthy of caring about.
They're real characters, and that's harder to pull off than people realize. And it's so.
I couldn't believe he did pull it off.
Exactly.
That's how hard. Like you rarely see an ensemble like that pulled off well.
Like I said this in my review. Like going into the film, I expected to enjoy the character of Rocket Raccoon, because how can you not? He's a fucking talking raccoon who has a gun.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, that'll be a fun character, but. Just the amount of like work put into this character, like it's a character. I don't know. There's a part in the film where he gets drunk and he's in a bar and he's
like having a mental
breakdown. And he has a breakdown. And he basically says like, "I didn't ask to get," because like the character, he's a genetically altered raccoon, and he's just saying like he didn't ask to get made. And I was like, I can't believe how emotional this is about a fucking raccoon.
No, but not even that. Like, there's something striking in that scene where he. Up until this point, everyone's been like, "Oh, get that nasty vermin away from me!"
Yeah.
And it's just like kind of like this. He doesn't even respond to it.
Like up to that point, he's a hard ass, and then like you see that he's not.
But like he calls back to those moments. He's like, "He just called me a fucking," and she called me a vermin.
Right?
And he called me, and like it's like, oh wow, like they're actually developing these character moments.
Right,
They're
and
not.
that's what's so amazing about this film is that I'm all of a sudden feeling for this cartoon raccoon that talks. Like, are you kidding me?
It was.
I'm 31 years old. What is happening?
Not even that. You're talking about pulling off the chemistry of the group, and two of them aren't even there.
Yeah, they're not.
Yeah, that is.
It's insanity.
Yeah. You're scribbling violently over there.
Oh, am I?
Yeah.
Well, I was saying that.
He's just writing meat over and over again on his crossword puzzle.
I can't believe how good Rocket was. And if you go back to, I think it was like episode 4 where we talked about Rocket Raccoon, because it was when the first Guardians trailer came out.
Right.
And I think it was Jeff and I don't think Chris partook too much, but we were both saying like, what the fuck? There's a movie with a raccoon in it that talks, and it's like, I've never been so wrong about something.
Yeah. Well, I have many times. I will admit when I'm wrong, and I was wrong about this.
Because he is funny. Like,
yeah.
And it's insane. I can't explain it almost. It's that.
Hey, speaking of great characters that weren't even in the movie, really, Groot.
Absolutely.
Here's another one. I don't know how they pulled this off. This character only says 3 words.
Over and over again. And on paper, you're like, that sounds stupid. And even in the film, there's a joke where Chris Pratt's character said, because like Rocket points out to him that he says only 3 words, and Chris Pratt's character says like, "Oh, that's gonna get tiresome." And like they point out how stupid that idea is.
At first, I was like, "Ah, this is gonna get old."
But this is a character made of wood that says 3 words the entire film, and voiced by Vin Diesel, and I end up caring about this character.
Absolutely.
Are you kidding me?
I'm almost like, why did they even bother getting Vin Diesel?
Yeah, it could have been anybody.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was just fun. He had a good voice for that.
At that point, they're just showing off and saying, "Look what we did.
Yeah.
We made this character and had the voice supplied by Vin Diesel, and you still love the character."
Yeah.
When he's the fucking stick at the end, it's like so adorable.
It is.
That
It's perfect.
just like
And just
dying.
You're like, oh.
So, all right, let's.
Wait, can I say one thing?
Yeah.
Before we trash this film.
We're gonna tear it to pieces.
You said Star Wars. No, you said Star Wars. You said Ghostbusters. But you also said in your review that it was like Star Wars and Spaceballs
in the same movie.
Yeah.
That's what this is, because it's serious, but it's
better.
also hilarious. Yeah,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, it's better than Spaceballs.
And there was a moment like 20 minutes in where it hit me all of a sudden. I was like, oh, this is like it felt like Star Wars. And I was like, holy shit, like my kids are going to have a Star Wars now.
Yes.
And
that's a great point. And I was thinking all weekend long, well, all right, for the last 48 hours, I was thinking that going to see this movie with your kids must have been what parents in the mid to late 90s thought they were going to get with those Star Wars prequels with their kids, and were sorely disappointed. And
Just junk on
I
the
think that's
screen.
part of the reason that those prequels got just lambasted, because parents wanted to share this great legacy with their kids that they got to share with their parents, and it panned out terribly. Except for the second prequel, that was terrific. Anything with a good Senate hearing is classic sci-fi.
Sign me up.
All right, so
this film could have used more Senate hearings.
Yeah.
all right.
All right, so we'll come back to what's great about this movie, but up front we're going to talk about there are things that don't work with the movie. As much as we all loved it, there are problems.
My main issue with the film was that it's a Marvel movie.
Right.
And if you and that sounds pompous at first, but if there would be something liberating about this if it existed outside of that universe, because whenever it pauses to cater to
the Marvel
stuff, you
Absolutely.
can feel it.
I agree 100%.
It's like a fucking freight train stopping.
One of the reasons I think the movie is so great is for 90% of it doesn't act like a Marvel movie. It doesn't care about furthering the Marvel universe.
It's a space adventure.
Yeah, it doesn't give a fuck about the Avengers. One of the biggest problems I have with a lot of the Marvel movies is they all don't feel like their own movie. I would honestly say up until the newest Captain America, none of them have felt like their own movie. They've all felt like we need to set up the Avengers. And this movie, for 90% of the time, it doesn't give two fucks about Marvel. Like, it doesn't care. But the parts where it flounders is... I know for some reason everyone loves fucking Thanos. Everyone's like, oh, Thanos is in this movie.
You mean Bonzi Buddy? Bonzi Buddy installs itself halfway through the movie.
So like,
They look terrible.
There's a scene in this film where they pause to have Thanos, and he's got a floating fucking throne.
Yeah.
And my favorite part is his armrests. They're not attached to his throne.
Why would they?
They're just floating. He has floating armrests.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have anything to do with the movie. He's just there for fan service. It's like, look, Thanos is in the movie, and I don't care at all.
I will say that didn't take me out of the movie at all.
It's not
at all.
It's not the worst thing about the movie, but it's definitely, if it were not in the film, I would like the film more. If at all possible.
I guess so.
I gave it a 9. I would have given it a 9.5 if it didn't have Thanos in it.
Yeah, when he was talking to Thanos on the screen, it was fine because that felt Star Warsy,
Right.
and it was kind of nostalgic. But once they go to that weird space throne room thing,
Yeah, the rock that's floating in the sky.
it just felt like it started to feel kind of like the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern movie for a second. I was like, but they pulled it back. But then my other complaint is the Collector. When they get there, it started to feel very Marvel-y.
That was another, and like I thought that was actually going to be a big character in the film.
Yeah,
And
and it could have been.
And I remember Dave said he didn't care for Benicio del Toro's performance. I actually liked it.
I thought it was fine.
I liked how weird it was.
Yeah, he was just like this creep.
And I wanted more of that. I wish he had been in the movie more. This weird guy who keeps people and animals.
I don't know. There's just something about it. Like, I know James Gunn didn't want that in the movie, but had to put it there because, like, apparently the Collector is in Thor 2.
Right. He's in the stinger scene in Thor 2.
And I would
Terrific.
maybe James Gunn would have casted Benicio del Toro, but I would have rather seen his version of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, maybe. But and it's keeping with that theme, I think the weakest thing in this movie is the villains.
Yep, I have that in my notes.
Like, I like Lee Pace as an actor. I think he's a good actor, and I think what he does in the film is fine. Yeah. But his character of Ronan the Accuser, which is a great name,
fantastic name, he looks menacing.
He looks great. He's not really a threat.
No, and it's not even a case of him not having anything to do, because I think he has plenty to do.
Yeah.
I don't know what went wrong with his character.
It's just weird.
I can't place what went wrong.
I think I know. Tom Hiddleston is so good as Loki, and they're essentially the same character, that Lee Pace felt a little weak.
Okay.
To me, at least. Because Loki's awesome.
Loki also has fun.
Yeah.
This character is more evil, though, I would say, than Loki.
This is more of a Darth Vader type.
He's more about genocide, so...
Yeah, but I don't know. There's some... You're right. Something's off about the character, and I don't know what it is.
There's just... I don't think there's enough... he's not explained. I don't know, because he is explained.
It's like...
his backstory is given.
The character feels like...
generic.
What's the word? It's like...
Thin.
He feels like tacked on. Like, I get that the character... They need a villain to fight, because there'd be no conflict, but I cared more about just watching the Guardians do shit.
I just wanted to see them do stuff.
Like, anytime the movie had to, have them fight the villain, I was like, oh, I don't really care.
We're complaining about that, but it's nice that the heroes, for once, are more interesting than the villains.
Yeah. Right,
these are
in a super...
Maybe that's what it is.
These are like anti-Batman films, and I love the Batman films, but the Batman films, the villains are always cooler than Batman, and this movie is the polar opposite of that.
So, while we're complaining, we are acknowledging that it is a joy to have fun protagonists to hang out with.
But not only that, Lee Pace is great.
He's a
so
great
I don't
actor.
even mind him. But
Same thing with
Nebula.
I really like Karen Gillan.
I didn't like that performance at all.
I think she's a good actress in general, but
Here's
in
what
this
that sounded
film,
like to me. That's her character.
That character felt really tacked on.
When she escapes, she literally goes and disappears.
To Wicked Witch.
She turns into James Cagney or Edward G. Robinson. Sorry. See,
it seemed like
she was being set up for a sequel because she doesn't do anything in this movie.
Definitely, but Ronan, there wasn't enough scenes of him interacting, and all his henchmen and stuff. It felt very thin, like it wasn't actually there.
Yeah,
like he has the one henchman who's
Jaimin Hunsu.
Yeah. The rest are like cloney bots,
and they looked
cool.
They looked terrifying.
Yeah.
They had no faces.
Yeah, they were like dead people.
But that's the thing. There just aren't enough scenes developing him interacting with his evil guys.
I will say his ship, the Dark Aster, is that what it was called?
It was cool.
That looked really cool.
That was an awesome ship design.
That was like a nod to the Death Star.
Right.
Definitely. It was like a uniquely designed spaceship that...
And I read a thing with James Gunn where he said they designed the interior of that ship to look like a mausoleum, which is fantastic.
Yeah, it looked very Egyptian.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so did he with his garb.
Yeah. His,
that scene was fucking awesome.
Where he comes out of the goo and
and then they are throwing sand at him and then putting his arm.
Because I think maybe that's the problem, because that scene sets him up
to be so
as
badass.
this creepy, intense character, and then he basically just punches people. He doesn't really.
That's what he does.
But not only that, he's kind of whiny.
Yeah, he is.
He's whining to Thanos, and it's no, this guy that I just built up in this scene would not whine.
Yeah.
He would be like, oh, you know what the problem is? He's Thanos. He should be Thanos,
right.
Ronan, but he can't be because
they need to save Thanos
they had
for
a
the
bigger
sequels.
bad.
Right.
Yeah.
Another problem, and thankfully,
Chris Pratt, he's terrible.
Thankfully, they don't do this after the first 45 minutes. But for the first 45 minutes, there's a lot of scenes of characters saying what they're going to do instead of doing it,
which is never welcome.
And I get it because it keeps the film. It's like a blessing and a curse because it keeps the film moving at a good pace.
Right, and it saves us from having an origin story, which I'm sick to death of.
But unfortunately, they saddle.
What do you mean, when Rocket says he's going to break out of the prison?
No, it's more like
Gamora.
Yeah, unfortunately, they saddle Zoe Saldana with a lot of exposition dialogue,
and it sounds stiff, and you're almost like, man, she's not very good. Yeah. But she ends up being pretty decent.
Yeah, for the first half hour of the film, she's the weakest character.
Yeah,
and she's constantly I am betraying Thanos.
Yeah,
I'm stealing this to steal from Thanos. Thanos turned me she's just constantly saying things. But then the last half of the film, she's great. So
that's part of that exposition dump that I was talking about. It ties in with the putting text on screen telling me where this is, what this is.
Yeah.
That I didn't like about the film.
It's weird,
like you said, half hour on, we're good.
It's a weird flaw because I don't like it, but I get while they're doing it, so I can't hate it too much. It's strange.
No, I think that ties back into the Marvel connection
Right.
because they have to have her be Thanos' daughter, and they have to let the screen audience know,
Right.
and then they have to have her make the switch,
Right.
Because that's all part of her origin. I assume. I've never read a fucking comic about this in my life, but
Yeah, you're right.
it would have just been better if
If it weren't a Marvel film, they could have shown her being
just some kind of like bounty hunter or something.
They could have,
just
yeah,
in a
and they
way.
could have shown her intentions by just having her like roll her eyes at somebody saying
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
in an earlier scene, or like just looking away at the camera, like just
Yeah.
insinuating that I'm not on board with these bad guys.
I get it, but
Yeah,
But
because it's a Marvel film, she has to say, "I am Thanos' adopted daughter."
Yeah.
the purpose of her being bad though is because she has to want the orb to fight Chris Pratt in that scene where they can all get arrested.
Right.
And there's an easy solution to just make her a bounty hunter in the same way that Rocket, and then they're just fighting over it.
Yeah, but I could also argue that makes her less interesting.
Yeah.
I do like that they all have their own
Yeah,
unique
they're
reason.
all different. So what else?
Why don't you tell it to Boba Fett then?
I'd rather
Bad
not.
Star Wars jokes.
Do you mean his son or his father, Jango Fett? Who
No,
was the?
I don't.
Anyway,
That's too many Attack of the Clones references in one podcast.
No, we need more.
I have something to say. I'm
All right.
raising my hand.
Dave, yes, Dave.
It's your podcast, go.
I read an article about Marvel's third act problem, and
Okay.
I didn't realize this until I read the article, which shame on me. But all of these Marvel movies keep doing the same thing where they build up these awesome first two acts, and then they all end in these insane battles. They're the same battle in every movie,
Yeah.
and then it just ends after the battle. Can we stop doing that? Like, this could have had a better ending. This movie.
I didn't mind it in this film just because I felt like almost the battle was like secondary, because the battle, once it's over, the film keeps going for like a good like half hour, I would say, honestly.
Does it? It's only like
It's
10
gotta
minutes.
at least be 20 minutes, I would say.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah,
Because there's a whole wrap up where after the battle
I would say
they
that,
go to Nova Prime and all.
I would say that it's a problem.
It definitely is a problem.
Nova prime rib.
Yeah,
Like a
Nova-
steak.
God, I would say it's a problem, but only when they can't pull off the battle. Because in Avengers, the battle is amazing.
Yeah.
In this film, the battle is really like just awe-inspiring.
Right.
The way those ships cascade.
And become a net. That was great.
That was fantastic.
I've never seen that in a film before, and
Me
I
neither.
love seeing things I haven't seen before. So.
Have you seen Independence Day?
They don't make a net in Independence Day.
Have you seen The Net? The Sandra
That's the
Bullock?
plot of the net. Her spaceships make nets.
But and in Winter Soldier, there's a battle, but it's nothing like that. It's more.
No,
of a,
it's like-
it's more of a personal one-on-one type battle.
But the same kind of battles going
No,
on.
yeah,
in the
there's
background.
in Winter Soldier that actually I did have a problem with that, where the drones get unleashed and all this shit's happening, and
Yeah. It just feels like
it would So let's say it would be nice if a Marvel film ended without a bunch of explosions and fighting. Like,
yeah, and
I
that's
think
fan service,
Right.
but let's not do that. Like, and I get, all right, well, Star Wars did the same thing,
Right.
Sort of. Star Wars is more like a dogfight
Yeah.
scenario, but I guess maybe people just aren't entertained by that anymore.
yeah,
don't know,
people
that-
want their movies to end with a big bang.
that was
I
one of
guess.
the things I appreciated about this film is that it didn't take place on Earth.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yes.
Oh, no,
This
I
is-
like
This is
that.
actually in space for the most part.
I don't even know what the solution is to not have an insane battle at the end.
Yeah, I don't
but,
know either.
But I think, and that's probably what people also love about Empire Strikes Back, is it ends kind of untraditionally
Right.
Yeah.
than other movies. All right, let's get back to talking about how good it is.
Yeah, so that's out of the way.
Yeah, I didn't have any other problems aside
Yeah.
from what we talked about.
The soundtrack was terrible.
Nope. Soundtrack was an absolute delight.
All right, so let's start with that. The soundtrack in this film is phenomenal, I guess I would say.
Yeah.
It is a great soundtrack.
A lot of fun. You know what it reminded me of? Tarantino.
Absolutely. It's
Oh yeah, I didn't even put that together.
it's Tarantino and also Scorsese.
You know what?
Yeah, yeah.
This movie feels a little Tarantino-y.
It's
Very
like
much.
times.
Quentin Tarantino's Star Wars, basically.
Yeah.
Which sort of look like this movie.
I could see
It just
it.
had a lot more cursing
It's
in
like
it.
his Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not 100% well versed with the works of James Gunn.
Right.
I've seen the specials, but I never saw Slither.
Okay.
And I can't think of any other film.
Super? Have you seen Super?
Yes, I did see Super,
Yeah.
and I thought that was good, but it was uneven.
Right.
I thought, but great characters.
Absolutely.
Again, but yeah, I'm not sure how much of this film was his vision, like was his actual direction, or was him getting notes from the studio, because he is no knocks against James Gunn, but he's a lesser director that they can push around.
Well, he wrote it. Along with a female whose name I'm Nicole something.
She wrote the original draft, and then James Gunn basically came in and rewrote what she wrote.
Oh, can I talk about this for a second? This is very interesting. I didn't hear about this till I read about this chick who wrote Guardians of the Galaxy, but a few years ago, Marvel had this thing called the Writers' Workshop, where they just hired all these young writers to come in. They gave them a list, like slid it across the table with all these properties, and they're like, just pick whatever off this list and write a script. And she just looked at the words Guardians of the Galaxy because she writes sci-fi.
Okay.
And she was like, I'll take that.
Nicole Perlman is her name.
Oh, okay. I actually
she's
heard
Ron
that
Perlman's
name.
daughter.
No. Nope.
And she just took it because of the name. It had the word galaxy in it. She's like, this sounds kind of sci-fi. I'll write that. And her making that decision right there is the reason this fucking franchise
Good
exists.
on her, because this is a great screenplay.
Yes.
But then I was reading an interview with James Gunn where he was talking about rewriting the script, and it seems like a lot of this was his ideas, like just ripped from nowhere. Like the awesome mix, that whole thing.
The soundtrack is
all
basically his idea. There was actually a thing I read that like he turned in a draft, and Kevin Feige, who's like the Marvel guru, he basically said like, this isn't weird enough. Like I want it to be weirder. I want it to be like a James Gunn movie. So James Gunn had to go back and make it weirder, basically. But yeah, the soundtrack.
He's like, make this more like an Edgar Wright movie.
Yeah, there's definitely some Edgar Wright in here, so I'm glad they fired him off Ant-Man. That's good.
I'm starting to feel like there's something weird going on there that we just aren't hearing about.
Who knows? But,
because this movie was so weird that I can't imagine what Ant-Man would have been doing that would have been any weirder than this.
We need weird, because I'm tired of superheroes.
Oh my god, yes, please.
But yeah, let's get to that soundtrack.
Yeah, back to other Marvel movies, they don't make use of music like this. Maybe they use some fucking Evanescence. I don't know. They
never have too much Evanescence.
Iron Man.
Yeah, that's the only music I can think of.
Are you Iron Man?
Otherwise, they just use composers. They usually use Tyler Bates. He's the guy who does most of their music.
But they use Tyler Perry too.
Yeah, they use Tyler Perry and Tyler Mane.
For two.
Tyler Mane, the hulking wrestler who played Michael Myers in the remake.
All right, yeah.
Okay.
Soundtrack.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Like, you got to hear it. We can't talk about a soundtrack, but it's just all 80s jams.
It's like 70s and 80s pop hits.
Yeah.
And
you've heard every single one of these songs a million times,
but they work so well.
They haven't been played into the dirt.
And he could have easily just had the music in the film, but the script is so good that he has a reason the music is in the film.
Yeah, it's deliberate.
And it has this incredibly emotional payoff, which fucking got to me at the end. Like I know we've already off podcast we've established that Jeff does not cry, so I'm sure Jeff did not get emotional. But
I don't have tear ducts.
Yeah, Jeff is some sort of robot. But at the end of the film, he opens. There's like a gift he gets at the beginning of the film when his mother is dying. And the whole movie, you don't know what it is. And at the end of the film, he opens it, and it's Awesome Mix Volume 2. And that fucking really got to me. Like, I felt like tears in my eyes at that scene.
Well, it adds emotional weight, because you don't really know the tape is from his mom.
Right.
The whole movie. Like, she catered it for him.
Right.
Is that the right word? Curated.
Yeah,
that's the word I'm looking for.
She did not cater.
Catered it to him.
She put out some bonbons for him.
Some cocktail weenies.
So it adds this whole emotional weight to the mix that explains why he was willing to go back into the prison just to get it.
Yeah.
Because it's like his only connection to his mother that he has. So to get another one, it's like, oh my God, and I start crying.
And to say that I don't cry is accurate. However, as somebody who has spent most of my life making mixtapes for people that I care about, that really resonated with me.
You never made me a mixtape, so what's going on?
Oh, he made me one. What the hell? What happened? Oh, sorry. I mean, no, he didn't.
That really resonated with me, and it touched a nerve. I mean, this whole there's a lot about this movie that touched. Yeah. Well, I need a root canal.
And I just want to, keeping with the sound, I just want to point out one of my favorite scenes in the movie is where they get to the planet where it's not even a planet; it's actually a giant head of a god, which is fucking fantastic.
Yes, it
but
is.
They're waiting to meet the Collector, and Chris Pratt's character and Zoe Saldana's character. They're just outside on a balcony, and like you can see like all these swirling like nebulas. It's gorgeous. Mm-hmm. And she doesn't know what music is, and he gives her the headphones. First, he tells her about Footloose, which is fucking hilarious. And he gives her the headphones, and she's just listening to that music. And in a lesser film, that could have been like this cheesy, like, oh, of course they got a fall in love scene. Mm-hmm. But that scene is just fantastic. It's so good.
Anytime there's a chance that the film could go cheesy,
right?
It immediately left turns out of there and drops like a one-liner or something. It's just so self-aware that it can avoid those pitfalls that a lesser
I'll totally
film
agree with that.
would fall into.
So, just to wrap this up, I'm going to ask you...
are we wrapping up? Because I could seriously go on for like 2 more hours.
We don't have to. No, I want to go around one more time before we wrap up, but like, what surprised you about this film? Like, the most surprising thing?
Do me a go
Is that,
first?
yeah.
I would say, like, the character of Rocket, as I said earlier, because I expected that character to be funny. I didn't expect it to be as in-depth as it was. So I guess that ties into, I was shocked at how emotional this movie is. And it's not cloying fake sentiment. It's actual real emotion. Like, you actually... And there's a line in the film where Chris Pratt's giving a big speech, and he's like, we finally have a chance to do something, and it says, what? And he says, we finally have a chance to give a shit. And I loved that about this movie, because that sums up the movie perfectly, that these characters, they're just assholes who finally start giving a shit. And I was amazed at how well that worked and how emotional the film could be.
Even the scene where he goes out into space to save Gamora, and like Rocket is like genuinely distraught that he's doing it, and it's not cheesy. Like, even though it should be, it works.
And that
somehow.
part, oh my god! And this should not work because it's a tree talking to a raccoon. But at the end, as the Dark Aster is about to crash, Groot, he forms himself into this big tree ball to protect them,
like a tumbleweed. Almost.
Right? And Rocky goes up to him and he's like, "Why are you doing this? You're gonna die!" And the fucking raccoon starts to cry, and I start to cry, and and Groot wipes a tear out of Rocket's eye with a branch, right? And like, just saying that, I'm like, that sounds so stupid, and it works so well. And Groot, the whole movie, he says, I am Groot. At the end, he finally says, we are Groot. And that should not work at all, and it works so well.
Even in that scene, Rocket's like, you're going to die, you idiot. Yeah. And then later, when he's picking up the stick...
He holds the branch, he's like, I called him an idiot. And he's...
so depressing.
And even after that, like, he's crying, and we didn't talk about how do you pronounce his name?
Drax.
Yeah, Dave
Bautista.
He's fantastic in this movie.
Yeah, that's my most surprising thing.
But there's a part where Rocket's crying and he's holding the stick, and Drax comes over and pets his head, and it's funny, but it's also touching. It's just So yeah, the emotion is really what got me in this movie, because I expected it to be funny, I expected it to be entertaining, but it was a movie for everyone, and they don't make movies like that anymore. It's not a movie for a specific demographic. It's not for like... Yeah,
that's true.
It's not for...
Anyone could enjoy this movie,
and
as long as they have a heart.
That's why I love this movie so
much. Evidenced, I loved it, and I had my heart removed.
I just want to touch on Dave Bautista was the most surprising thing in the movie for me, because like at a certain point, the team starts to assemble. You have Gamora, you have like... and you're like, all right, this character's cool, this one's cool, this one's cool. It's like, obviously, that's just going to be the big blue guy who beats stuff up. Yeah. Like Hulk or Thing, or there's one in every group.
Yeah.
And then he ends up being this fucking hilarious character with depth, and I don't know, it's just his performance, too. Like, I wasn't expecting it.
He totally nailed it.
Yeah.
He has some of the funniest lines in this movie. That part where he's talking about reflexes is just hilarious, where
what did he say?
He says, Rocket says, like, don't use metaphors with him, they go over his head. And he's like, nothing goes over my head. My reflexes are too quick. I'll catch it.
That was...
And then there's the other line where he's like, He's just like, oh, I wasn't listening. That was fucking hilarious.
That was good, yeah.
And like when he's later on, he fucking slits some guy's throat,
and he's like, and then when he calls Gamora a green whore, and he's doing it endearingly, it's just fantastic. It's a great performance.
That was also an awesome scene because she's about to give a big speech, and he just fucking shoots her with a rocket launcher.
And he says, "No one talks to my friends that way."
Okay, Jeff.
Yeah, what surprised me about this film was everything. I was not expecting to like this movie
I'll agree.
nearly as much as I did. Like I said, I don't think it's a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
But this is a great movie, the best of the summer. I love, for lack of a better term, space operas.
Yeah.
I hate that term. They throw it around all the time.
Yeah.
I prefer space concertos.
Exactly.
It's being replaced with space epic, but space opera is more.
Well, that's what this is, for lack of a better term. And I was just blown away at how everything worked. The characters work, the comedy works, the adventure's fun, the world looks amazing.
The movie looks
I care
gorgeous.
about every one of the protagonists.
Absolutely.
It's just the soundtrack's great.
Yeah.
The pacing's great. It's a 2-hour movie that doesn't feel like a
No,
2-hour
I never
movie.
got bored with this. I saw this movie twice. This is the first movie I've seen all year that I saw twice in the theaters.
So, yeah, everything about this film surprised me.
And Chris Pratt carries it. Like,
Yeah, he does.
He is great.
Yes, he is.
we haven't even touched on him, but like,
Well, he's the star. I mean, how...
yeah, but
I think this movie, honestly, it solidifies him as a movie star. Which
definitely.
never in a million years would I expect.
That opening scene with him just dancing through that cavern, that is like an introduction to Chris Pratt, movie star.
Right. And, like, this is in his wheelhouse of, like, that goofy guy, but it's, like, it's also, he's confident, which he doesn't usually play, and that's what's...
I mentioned that to you, that I was surprised by the trailers kind of...
make him look like a doofus.
Yeah,
basically.
like he's going to be the guy from Parks and Rec, just
Right.
the fuck up. And then in that first scene where he ends up being an awesome fucking badass, I was like, wow, like this is cool. I like this character. He's like Han Solo, but
funnier.
funner. Yeah, funnier.
He's goofy but competent.
Better ankles too.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't break. They don't break like Olive Garden breadsticks.
He's also not 70 years young. All right, is that it?
Yeah.
I mean-
My favorite scene in the movie though is when he busts in and the one guard guy's like Star-Lord and he just goes finally. I almost fucking
good.
fell out of my chair.
It's a fun movie.
Like after the film, I saw it again with my wife, and she said, what was your favorite scene? I couldn't really even pick one.
There's many.
Just because I loved every scene in this movie so much. But there's just so much.
Yeah, even my wife loved this movie, like was gushing about it. That stick at the end was her favorite part, but
The dancing Groot.
That was great. That was great.
I was just picturing how many of those fucking dancing Groot flower pots they're gonna sell.
I was thinking the same
Counting
thing.
the money coming in. It's gonna be like Billy the Bass, but fucking.
I would actually buy the dancing Groot. But yeah, I would say this is my favorite Marvel movie.
And now, bringing that up, it's my favorite Marvel movie, and instantly makes me unenthusiastic about anything else Marvel's doing.
I don't care about Avengers 2 anymore. I know other people will, and I'm not besmirching that, but I'll see it, and once I start seeing trailers, I'll get excited, but right now I'm like, fuck Avengers 2. I just want to watch more Guardians of the Galaxy movies.
I'll go the opposite way. I'll say I'm now enthusiastic about most Marvel movies looking forward, because this shows that, now we're going to fork outward. We're going to have superhero movies, and we're going to have batshit insane movies like this, and I think it's a great balance so that we're not just inundated with these superhero movies. We have
it's a genius plan.
Yeah, it is. It's great. I'm excited about Marvel now.
So let me end on this then, because I was actually thinking this, like, is this a fluke? Because there's no other Marvel movies are like this movie. Is this going to be like,
I don't think
shit.
so. Because you got Doctor Strange coming, and
Yeah.
that's kind of like he's like a wizard, right? Or something
Yeah, but
that.
like the people making Doctor Strange are like, who cares?
Shitheads,
Like the guy
yeah.
who directed Sinister. And I like Sinister, but I don't fucking want to see him make
But
Doctor
it
Strange.
could be like a superhero horror movie, which could be fun.
It could, but I just...
And that's what they said, that they're opening Guardians of the Galaxy opened up the cosmic end of Marvel, and now Doctor Strange is going to open up the supernatural, and that could be a whole nother universe of.
I mean,
all the
I'm just
weirdness.
excited.
I would love it if it worked, and yeah, I would be excited for that. But
It's more variations.
But like, I guess it's like the negative part of me is like, this is a fluke, and they're not going to do this again.
It could be, but I'm hopeful that it's not, and I'm hopeful that this is the new direction. Well, not a new direction, but another direction that they're going with.
Yeah,
I'll agree
I mean,
with that. Yeah,
there will be more films like this, but I'm just worried that the trickle down effect is going to take too long. You know what I mean?
Because
they just made that $100 million this weekend, and they're like, oh shit, now let's start making more movies like this. We won't see them for 3 fucking years.
it also makes me think like, you just know every studio tomorrow is going to start greenlighting every shitty sci-fi script they have. That's
Well, they already are.
Yeah.
So we got Transcendence this year.
Yeah.
But I mean, like every
we
shitty
forget.
space opera that some shitty hack writer wrote that's been sitting on some producer's desk is going to get greenlit
But
tomorrow.
maybe there will be 2 or 3 that we would have never gotten.
So yeah,
because of this.
That's God, Dave. You always got to be so positive.
I'm with Dave on this one.
Look, I hate my life.
All right, on that note, let's go to break.
See you guys in a few seconds. We're not done. Here at CutPrint Film, we do our very best to keep you in tune with the movie industry. We're revolutionizing the way you read movie reviews by putting them on the internet. Go to CutPrintFilm.com and we will guarantee you a pleasant experience. We're breaking new ground every day to bring you the finest material possible. We've partnered with such clients as MoreLikeRadio.com, AntiFanboy.com, and Joystick Jerks, the podcast. So check out all of that and more on CutPrintFilm.com. And remember, have a CutPrint Film day.
I'm an alligator. I'm a mama, papa coming for you. I'm the space invader.
Sing it, Dave.
I'll be a rock and rollin' bitch for
Not you,
you.
Mr. Bowie.
Your mouth
Mr.
shut.
Costal.
How long are we legally allowed to play this for? Because I just want to keep playing it.
30 seconds.
Alright, see you guys in 30.
No, I think we're allowed to talk over it indefinitely.
Yeah. So
So our,
gonna loop
our
it.
30 just started over.
Yeah.
Your electric eye, baby.
Pretty fucking fantastic soundtrack.
Yes, it is.
Your wake-up.
We need to stop gushing about this movie.
I know.
never.
I need a tourniquet.
Join us next
Literally
week.
gushing.
Just next week when we'll watch Iron Man 2, and then we'll have nothing but shit to say.
These are electric whips for some reason.
The fucking tourniquet line got me in retrospect.
It's a slow burn. It's like a national album.
It's like a
You're gonna
Ty
need a
West
turn-
film, that joke.
It's the Ty West film of
The
jokes.
Ty West joke.
You're like, oh, that movie sucked. And then 3 days later, you're like,
Oh, man, that really hit something. Speaking of movies that hit something, Gallagher.
somebody.
Stomp the motion picture.
I was going
basically.
with a Gallagher concert.
I was going with Kevin Smith's unmade hockey movie, Hit Somebody.
Is that what it was
forgot about
called?
that.
Yeah.
I forgot about that, as I forget about all Kevin Smith films.
Oh, God, that tusk looks so bad.
I'm morbidly curious about it.
I was more curious till I till I had my stroke, and then it's all bets are off.
Here, bite my wallet.
Your personality is completely different. You don't
Sorry.
even like horror movies
That
anymore.
railroad spike went right through my head, changed everything.
Yeah, did we mention Coherence yet, or should we
Nope.
say it? Who was this directed by?
James Ward Burkett.
Okay. Coherence is a small film that will be impossible for you to see.
Until it's on DVD. And
No, you'll be able to see it because it's on Oscilloscope, and I think they
go
have a
to-
deal with Netflix.
yeah, you'll be able to see it someday.
Yeah, it's not like A24.
Yeah, where you have to know the secret handshake. And you have to go to the Mason Lodge to get a copy of the film.
Burn a feather.
Coherence is doing one of those strange, like, festival tour. Not even festival, but like,
It got a very, very limited release.
Yeah.
I think it came out in Chicago and New York.
And basically, what it is a low-budget sci-fi film.
Right.
that, in my opinion, feels more like an extended episode of The Twilight Zone.
Yeah,
Which,
absolutely.
and I mean that in the best possible way.
And even in the press kit, there's a paragraph written by the director.
Rod Sterling.
Yeah, it was written by Rod Sterling.
Rod Serling.
Rod Sterling,
That was just a slip of the tongue.
where it's like the fifth time. It's the fifth time Dave has thrown me off tonight.
Throw some sawdust down so your tongue doesn't slip anymore.
In the press kit, Jesus Christ, Dave, you're killing me.
That was Jeff.
In the press kit, the director says he was heavily inspired by the Twilight Zone. There,
all right.
I finally got my sentence out.
Yeah, it definitely shows, too. Because
He was saying it said Twilight Zone and also Ray Bradbury stories are what
okay,
inspired
I can
him.
see that too.
Yeah.
But I'm way more versed in Twilight Zone
Yeah.
than
And
I
when
am
you-
with Ray Bradbury.
When you say Twilight Zone, like modern Twilight Zone, people
No.
think of those horrible
No.
remakes.
I hope people don't think of that. Jesus.
And these, well, this is what I'm saying. This genuinely felt like a modern Twilight Zone. Like,
Done
if
right.
this guy could just do 100 episodes
Of the
of
Twilight.
this,
Yeah.
like, it would be...
This specifically reminded me of that Twilight Zone 5 characters in search of an exit. I don't know if
It's like that, and it's also like the monsters are doing
Yeah.
Maple Street.
yeah, very much.
It's those combined, and
But
there's another...
It's a tight set. Like it all takes place in
Wait,
one location.
is that the bomb shelter one?
No, but
Because that's
a
the
good
one I'm thinking
too.
of.
The,
Where,
the 5 characters one is there's like a clown, and there's a pilot, and there's a ballerina, and they're all in
this weird room
with no doors.
okay, I've seen that
It's
one.
an excellent episode.
It has one of those endings where you're just like, fuck you.
The issue with Coherence is that we can't talk about it too much because
The less you know, the better.
yeah, and
Yeah.
the twist is pretty. It's not a twist,
Yeah,
but
there's do not be sitting through this thing waiting for a twist.
Yeah.
There's no twist. It's just a really smart sci-fi film.
Like the
Finally.
two movies I'd compare this with, and those two movies have the same sort of thing where the less you know, the better, is the film Primer and the recent film Enemy.
okay,
yeah.
yeah.
Where they like,
it's filmed in a totally different style. Than
no,
this
I'm
one.
not. Yeah, it's not like the content or the directing style. It's just that sort of. It's that kind of movie where it's like a mind fuck movie
Yeah.
is the term
Yeah.
you would use.
And this film is essentially a group of characters who come together they all know one another. They
Right.
come together for a dinner party, and there's a comet passing overhead that
Right.
night, and some strange stuff happens during this comet's passing over the Earth.
Yeah,
And it's a really fantastic movie. Like you guys said, the less you know about it going in, the more you're going to enjoy it.
the thing I will say about it is that for amateur actors, everyone was very good.
Excellent, great acting, and that kind of made it.
Yeah,
The acting sold this film.
they felt genuinely like people that knew each other
Mm-hmm.
and hung out with each other. Which I don't know. Maybe they were. Maybe it'd be like
Yeah,
if the
they
three
very
of
well
us
could
made a
have been.
movie about podcasting, we'd be really good at it.
One thing that makes it even more remarkable is there was no actual script for the film. The film is entirely improvised. Basically, what happened was James Ward Burkett, the director, he came up with notes, and they filmed it over like 3 nights in one house. And every night before shooting, he would give all the actors index cards with notes for beats
About their character?
right? And
that's-
and beats they had to hit in the scene. And otherwise, it was just improvised.
This was all filmed in 3 nights.
yes.
Fantastic.
That kind of annoys me. Like, it makes me feel like, why don't we just get the fuck together and film a movie in 3 nights?
Because it would be abysmal. I'm not a good actor. That's why.
Well, you can just be that guy who dies.
You could be the mute butler. Another drink, Jeff.
But yeah, this was a creepy movie.
Was that
too.
Jeff?
That's Jeff. He talks like Frankenstein in this film.
I just bench press.
Yeah.
Wait, good.
This movie does a phenomenal job building.
Saying waits.
Spot me.
Kettlebell.
You're onto something, Dave. Let's make this film.
Okay. This Coherence, not the fucking Frankenstein.
Not bench press the movie. Starring Jeff Rollins.
The movie's called One More Rep. The Jeff Rollins story. Well, good night, everyone.
I'm trying to say something. Okay.
Please do.
Coherence, the film, is creepy. Jeff said it before he turned into Frankenstein.
It is. It's effectively creepy.
But it does an amazing job at making the normal seem slightly off.
It makes the mundane seem creepy.
Yeah.
There's one scene there's a door in like the dining room, but she kind of has it covered up because it's like aesthetically out of whack with the room.
Yeah,
It shouldn't be.
this character's very into feng shui.
Yeah, and she calls it the door to nowhere. And the second she says that, something just like came over me. I was like, oh, I don't like that term.
It's just and there's like a photo on a mantle near the door, and the photo's not in the film. It's not supposed to be creepy, but just
But it really is.
the way they set it up. It's just a creepy photo because it's just there and it's surrounded by nothing.
And that goes back to the acting in the film. They something about the way
It's just very natural,
Yeah.
and they react like.
people.
Yeah, they react like real people. Like if you were actually at a dinner party and the weird stuff that happens in this movie happened, you probably would react like these characters react.
Sort of.
Kind of.
There would have been more times where I was like, look, everybody, we're just going to sit the fuck down. Nobody's moving.
Yeah, I would have gone into alpha mode and just made everybody sit. You sit there. I'm going to sit here.
You
and
watch me press.
I'd have been like,
Watch me work on my pecs.
I'm back.
I would have literally been like, where's the drinks?
Yeah. Yeah, I would have.
Well,
been
there actually is a scene in this film where when the weird stuff starts happening, they're like, "Let's all drink."
Yep, you are correct,
Yeah.
characters. But this movie, the way you said that the director would give them notes the night before filming, that's sort of how they did the Blair Witch Project.
Yeah, it is.
And that worked. This worked just as well as the Blair Witch Project
Absolutely.
worked, and I think that's a good tactic when you're doing a small film.
Like this is one of the best examples of doing so much with so little because there's not a lot to this movie, but what it has, it does exceedingly well.
Was there a budget in that press kit?
I don't remember it. $10 zillion
That
right here.
seems off. The house is made of diamonds.
Another thing.
So are the actors.
Another thing that I would have reacted strange to if someone told me was, "Oh, we walked through that weird dark zone where there was nothing."
Yeah, that was the one part that I felt was off because he's like, "There's a weird dark zone," and some guy in the background's like, "Oh yeah, we saw that."
Yeah.
Like, why didn't you mention that earlier?
And nobody's like, "Oh, what a weird dark zone." It's
Yeah.
just like, "Oh my god,
Yeah,
the universe doesn't exist down the block."
I agree with that.
So let me just read this part from the press kit. All right, so. Says
Chris was a young man.
Chris was born in a shack. Filmmaker James Ward Burkett began brainstorming the idea with collaborator Alex Monahan as a way to test the limits of improvisational processes.
That's pretty much how you say it.
What if a story had twists, reversals, puzzles, and existential mysteries, and the actors had to figure it out as well as the shoot unfolded?
That works for this movie because as an audience member, you're trying to figure it out as it goes on too. Like you're trying to get one step ahead of these characters. You never do.
No.
But I like that. I like how they just shot it and learned the film as it went.
Yeah, and we're gonna try to do the same thing next weekend.
What are we doing?
The three of us. We're
gonna film.
I'm gonna give you guys index cards,
All right.
and we're gonna make our own movie.
All right.
We already have this whole
I
Frankenstein.
can tell you
plot
right
going.
now, I'm not doing it. I have no part of this.
I don't know. I kind of watched Frankenstein Lifting Weights, the movie.
let me get my neck bolts
Yeah.
ready.
All right, that's all we got. You
Yeah.
ready? Does anyone have a recommendation?
I do have a recommendation.
All right, well then. I'm hooked on CutPrintFilm. Weekly movie recommendations.
Oh boy! Holy shit! What the? That sounded like Bob Dylan doing "Lay Lady Lay."
Holy shit.
You guys
God.
I was not prepared for that.
Well,
who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
All right.
I think. I don't know if I can compete.
Sure, you don't
with
want to
what
hear
just
that? You
happened.
don't want to hear that song again?
I'd love to hear that song all the time. Keeping in with surprising comic book based films.
The Sopranos.
No, that's
Not a film or comic book based.
my pick for this week is the 2012 film Dredd,
Yes.
based on Judge Dredd.
I've heard good things about this,
Yeah.
but refuse to believe them.
I did too, but listen, as you gentlemen know, and as our audience might know, I loved iron shirts. And it just so happens that Saturday was laundry day.
I thought you said iron shirts, like you wear.
Oh, yes,
fucking-
I love iron shirts.
That's what I thought you said as well. And I was like, all right, I'll go with it.
They chafe like the Dickens.
But they're so heavy.
So yeah, I love ironing shirts and watching cheesy action movies. So this weekend Saturday was laundry day, and I ironed some shirts and pants and thought, let me throw some bullshit on. So I went through my Netflix queue and saw that I had Dredd in there, popped it on, and my God, what a pleasant surprise.
It's a
Yeah.
fun movie.
It's a very fun movie, and this is directed by Pete Travis, who did the absolutely deplorable film Vantage Point,
Oh yeah,
starring
that was bad.
Matthew Fox, I believe.
I never saw that.
Oh, it stinks on ice.
That's what I hear.
And he did do
Matthew Mox in that?
What's that?
Is Matthew Mox in that one?
Matthew Mox is not in it, but Matthew Fox is. He also directed Endgame, which was about apartheid ending. I never saw that.
Boo.
Yeah. I thought we fired you. And it's starring Carl Urban, Keith Urban's brother. No, nothing.
Is he? I thought you were being serious. I was like, I didn't know that about him.
Keith Urban, I believe, is a country singer.
He is, but I was like, I'm so shocked.
Carl,
Wait, is he?
Carl Urban is Bones in the Star
yeah,
Trek
he's in
movies.
Star Trek.
The
Yeah,
awful
alright.
Star Trek movies. And it also stars Olivia Thirlby.
Juno's friend.
Yes, she's Juno's friend from the...
She uttered the infamous "honest to blog" line, which we now all
Which you will
want to kill
remember
ourselves.
from Apocalypse Now.
It's the tagline of our site.
Yeah. So anyway, this film, the synopsis is, in a violent futuristic city where the police have the authority to act as judge, jury, and what?
Executioner.
lawyer.
Yeah, no, executioner.
Oh, I was going
right.
with the.
A cop teams with a trainee to take down a gang that deals the reality-altering drug slow-mo. And what this film does that I liked was it has a reason to do everything that it does. Films do that slow-motion nonsense.
Yeah.
And it's just done because, we can. We have the budget to do it.
The Matrix did it once. Let's do that. That's
Exactly. But this film does it because these people take this drug called slow-mo, which slows down your perception of reality. Doesn't slow down reality itself, just your perception of it, to 1% of what's really happening. So when you're thrown off a building, you experience the fall for what seems like hours and hours. And there's a lot of building throwing.
Isn't that
Throwing
kind of
off
like
buildings in this.
Max Payne? Just something
I never
similar
saw
to that.
Max Payne.
I was just
or
talking about
played
the
them.
video game. Yeah.
Never played the games either. But yeah, this film, it also takes the premise of being locked in a single location with the bad guys and gives that a plausible reason for being the setting. It's a very good film. It's hyper violent. It's kind of reminded me of a Paul Verhoeven film.
Yes, yeah.
Which I like Verhoeven.
Absolutely.
And it's really good. It's ultra violent, a lot of fun.
I've heard that it's like the Raid, but just
It has a very similar to the plot to the
Similar.
Raid, but I actually liked this more than the Raid.
Okay.
The Raid has better action, you could say, but this is. There's something about this movie that's really
fun.
enjoyable.
It's a good movie. It's a good comic. It's not as good as the Stallone version.
Oh
of
yeah,
Judge Dredd,
nothing ever will be.
But
There's no Rob Schneider in this version.
well, you can never have too much Rob Schneider. I'd say making copies, right?
Ugh.
Okay. Yeah, it even makes you look past the fact that Judge Dredd is wearing that absurd outfit and grimacing the entire movie.
He is frowning the entire film.
It's like they sliced the nerves in his face and his mouth just collapsed.
It's like he was eating 10 lemons before each take,
He's the Lemon King.
but it's kind of great. It's,
So yeah, that's my
I'm
pick.
actually gonna watch this.
It's
because
a lot of fun.
silly. It's fun.
like the
and
90th person to tell me it was good.
it's
so.
a quick movie. I think it's like 100 minutes.
Yeah,
or
it
something.
flies by. And
yeah.
what's her name
100
is in it?
minutes.
Oh, Lena Headey.
Yeah, she's in it. She's the bad guy,
Cersei?
quote unquote. Yeah,
And she's really good.
she is good.
Quiet, menacing.
Yeah.
I like it.
Her name's Mama. So,
yeah. Her character's called Mama,
yeah.
and she runs the gang.
And her gang is called the Mama Clan.
That sure is. So yeah, that's my pick. 2012 Dread.
Ooga
Is my song starting again?
No.
You wish. I'll go.
Oh, good.
you're
I was
going?
hoping.
My film is the 1981 film The Boogans. So, this movie sucks, but
The Boogans.
but it's called The Boogans. So that right there is pretty much the only reason you should watch this movie. It's
A ringing endorsement if I've ever heard one.
it's a shitty 80s horror movie. It's basically about these teens. They get together in like a cabin in Colorado near an old abandoned mine. And the mine is filled with these monsters that are called the Boogans.
Who calls them that?
Well, one of the reasons I love this movie,
asshole, that's
one of the
who
reasons I
calls
love
him
this
that.
movie so much is there's this old man, and he's kind of like the old Fred character from Friday the 13th. He's always warning the kids. He's like, "You gotta get out of here," and he never says why. And then at the very, very, very end of the movie, the Boogans come out of the water and they kill a kid, and the word Boogans has not been said the entire film, but after this kid gets killed in front of the old man, he sadly says, Boogans. And then the movie ends.
Oh, this sounds like shit times 8. This sounds awful.
Wait, so why are you recommending this?
Because I love
called
it.
The Boogans.
It's
Didn't
called
you
the.
hear him?
Yeah, didn't you hear me? It's called The Boogans, Dave.
So that's your pick, huh?
It has like a nostalgia feel. Because basically, when I was younger, I went to Suncoast Video in the mall. Remember that when that
Yes, I
existed?
do. It's the only place you can get $45 DVDs.
Yeah. So I used to go there and I used to buy VHS tapes without ever seeing them. I just buy them like it's like called a blind buy. I'd say, let's buy this. So I went to Suncoast Video.
I remember seeing this.
Yeah. And right there and I would always go right to the horror shelf because I love horror. And right there I saw a VHS that just said The Boogans. And I said out loud, sort of just like, The Boogans? And just saying it out loud, I started laughing. I was like, I'm buying this.
Sold.
And so I bought The Boogans.
All right. That's your official pick.
That's my official pick. And I'm sticking to it.
Okay. All right. That's enough.
Yeah.
I
I'm
can't stop these Boogans.
What are you picking Boogans too?
Or Boogans Part 2, Die
here.
Boogans Die.
Critters 2 is my pick.
Chud.
I'm going to recommend a documentary I watched last night.
Oh, is it about the making of the Boogans?
I hope so.
It's called Particle Fever.
Oh, I saw that on Netflix. I didn't watch it, but I saw it.
It's about it documents from before the Large Hadron Collider goes online to during it to after it, and it's a good lesson in physics and what they were trying to do at the LHC, which I'll read and then immediately forget
Right.
after I read it.
Yeah.
I'll be like, what the fuck is that thing for?
Yeah.
So this is good because it's like visual. It's not like an insanely riveting documentary, but it gives you good information.
Sound like it. Even the synopsis sounds just dreadful. That's why I haven't watched it yet. So sell it to me.
It's worth watching because it will teach you about physics, like what they're trying to do. So they made this thing called the Standard Model, and it's basically the model that all the particles in our universe exist. But there's this missing link at the center, which is the Higgs particle. They know it exists.
They just don't know.
They've never observed it before. So they're gonna observe it in this
That's the
thing.
Higgs boson.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
they refer to it only as the Higgs for some reason in this documentary, but it is the Higgs
Boson
boson.
must have owed the money.
They hate that boson
They're
guy.
keeping his name out of the film until he ponies up.
But the thing that struck me about this film was they find the Higgs boson, and there's people who've been writing models, just theoretical physicists who've been writing 40 years of theory on assuming that the Higgs boson weighs the lightest it can weigh, which is like 115 GeV, which I don't know what that means, GeV. But so when they find it, they find out, oh, well, it actually weighs 126 GeV. So everything you've done your whole life, you might as well be writing about elves because it has nothing, it has no bearing on anything. And that just blew my mind. I was like, wow. And
Well, I mean, yeah, but those guys know that when you're dealing with theoretical physics, like you run the risk. As
Yeah.
smart as those people are, it's theoretical science.
Yeah, and but still, to think like, I just did 40 years of work for nothing would be like,
Sounds like my whole life.
But then the other thing that they find out is they assume that the Higgs boson would be that 115. It's a pretty good assumption because if it's not, then that means it's temporary. It's in a temporal state if it weighs any more than that. So they pretty much discovered that the Higgs boson, which holds the universe together, everything in the universe, is in a temporary state. So
that's not alarming at all. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this podcast, because we might not do another one.
If and when the boson decides to stop bosing, it'll
Stop
just
bosing around over there.
It starts Higgsing.
the fucking
Goes into a Higgs state.
what before was theory that the universe would just collapse into nothingness is now proven fact.
Confirmed. Okay,
that it
good.
will
Excellent.
just one day.
Well, every goth kid could have told you that.
Yes,
You didn't
right.
need particle physics.
Haven't you ever listened to Bauhaus? Give me my
Fever.
clove cigarettes, Dave. Hand me a clove.
Well,
Anyway, go on. What the Higgs Boogans machine? What's?
how long have you been holding?
Oh, you have no idea.
God.
What's it called?
The
He's back. The Boogans are back. It's
Particle
called particle fever.
all right, sounds good.
Well,
It's been fun, guys.
It really has. I had a good time.
Make sure you tip the Coke guy on the way out.
the Coke guy.
He's been pouring Coke floats.
The guy who took your coat. Came
I
in.
don't know. It's August. It's August 3rd, Dave.
What
I
do we
didn't wear a
got?
coat.
What do we got coming up next week, fellows?
Oh, I heard a rumor. I heard we're doing
Oh
Cormac
yeah,
McCarthy
we
week.
do have stuff to plug. Next week we're going to be talking about Cormac McCarthy. So go and get your library card renewed.
That's right. We're talking about all film adaptations of Cormac McCarthy.
Even the counselor.
Yeah.
So I've got some watching to do this week because I haven't seen The Counselor.
Oh my God!
I'm not looking forward to it.
You need to watch that and then throw up into a bag.
Just sit there on my couch and slit my own throat.
Slowly as the film progresses.
I have to watch All the Pretty Horses because
I have
I've
to
never
watch that too.
I've never seen that.
And I have to watch The Road again because I'm a masochist.
Is that the sequel, The Road Again?
Yeah. Sorry, Willie Nelson. William Nelson, as he goes by his stage name.
Yes.
In case you recognize him.
And go to CutPrintFilm.com.
Yeah. Go there.
As you heard in the awesome commercial we played this week.
We got some new production this
Yeah.
week. Thanks, Dave. Good stuff.
And, be sure to tip the Coke.
Well, you just insist on going to that one.
Yeah, go back to that well again and again.
The
That well is
Coke guy,
run dry.
wow.
Yeah. So, go to cutprintfilm.com. Go to facebook.com/cutprintfilm. And give us a goddamn great review on iTunes because we thrive on it.
We know you're listening. We have the numbers. We can see it.
And how.
So please, just leave a comment. Even if you're like, what the fuck? If you write WTF, I'll take it.
Yeah.
As long as it's a 5-star WTF.
And you can direct all fan mail to dave@cutprintfilm.com.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Why not? All fan mail.
Send it all to Dave. All right, that does it for this week.
And I will not be signing anything anymore. So don't ask.
You got to put a limit on these things.
Remember to tip your boogans, everyone.
Good night, folks.
We will see you next week with more riveting podcasting.
Yeah, you really sold that one.
Sorry, I'm reading my notes to make sure we didn't miss anything on Guardians of the Galaxy.
It was really good. Did we say that?
Yeah,
Oh.
go see it. It's fucking awesome.
Bye.